Ange Postecoglou. You know, I meant to do this video yesterday, but I just never got round to it, and it slipped my mind, if I'm honest. Tottenham beat Bournemouth yesterday, 2-0, away from home. Bournemouth are a decent side, they're playing well now. Most Tottenham fans, from what I could see, wrote the game off, meaning they just expected to lose. Some thought a draw, best case, but there wasn't anyone that I seen was tipping Tottenham to win. So they done well, and it just came to my mind. I thought it's only right. I've done videos before on if Ange should get the sack, which I've said all along I wouldn't sack him. But those videos have came at a time where they've been in turmoil and they've maybe just lost a game that they were expected to win. So it's only right I come on after they win a game that they weren't expected to win. I will say this. There's a YouTube channel I go on regularly. It's called Talk Sport. And as much as it's called Talk Sport, the onus is generally on football. And it's not something I normally notice, but I did. I noticed that there wasn't many videos on Ange. There was some live reactions to the pundits watching the Tottenham game at the time, for example, but there wasn't many videos afterwards in terms of praising Ange and giving him his due credit, I believe. Not just him, obviously, the team, but he plays... I mean, if he gets criticised for losing games, he should be complimented for winning games. And yeah, I've not seen any. I went on to We Are Tottenham TV, which is a good channel. It's obviously based on Tottenham. Even then, there's some, don't get me wrong, but like live reactions again in the studio to the game. But there's none afterwards saying, oh, you know what, we've got to give Ange his due here, his credit. He won the 2 European games and now this game against Brentford. And I just think that's a bit unfair. I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe they've just not got round to doing the videos now, or round about this time. But they normally do. Normally it's like an hour or two after the game. You know, if I've noticed that before, if Tottenham lose, Talk Sport, for example, I'm sure there's other channels that do it, but that's the one that I just most commonly watch. They're quick to jump down his throat and say, this guy's useless, blah, 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 blah. So, I noticed that. It's not something I often... I don't really notice these things normally, but because I've got a keen eye on Ange, because I'm a fan of the man as a human being, not just a football manager. I've said this previously when he was in charge of Celtic. I just liked his attitude and how he carried himself. So I noticed that. Like I've said before, even after the games that Tottenham have lost that they were expected to win, or at least draw, I've always said I think Ange is the right man. I think there's a lot of underlying circumstances that are leading and that have led to Tottenham's woes recently. I believe Ange is part of that, don't get me wrong. I think his in-game management is pretty poor. But, you know, even then I snigger because, like I've said this before, who am I to say that though? I mean, I'm a nobody. Like, it's, you know, I just feel a bit embarrassed sometimes giving criticism to these guys because they're elite level professionals. But, like I've said also, we're allowed to have our opinions. And just for what I've heard with pundits, and you watch the game, a prime example, right? It was about a year ago, I think. They were winning 3-1 against Chelsea. They go down to 9 men. You shut up shop, don't you? You do. You just defend for 10, 15 minutes. That's just common sense, I would say. But they didn't do that. Tottenham kept attacking, kept playing the way they normally play, and they got beaten that game. That's an example of how I think, that's just one example of how I think Ange is, he's part of this problem. It's not just a one person, but the man is a winner. I've said previously, he's won everywhere he's went. Yes, you can argue the standard of those leagues and those tournaments, but he is a winner. And I think there's enough glimpses of brilliance from the man with Tottenham to justify keeping him. And yeah, the next game I believe is against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. That's massive because Liverpool, they're used to winning trophies. Tottenham aren't. Anybody that knows football knows that's a big thing for Tottenham to win a trophy. Also, Ange has held himself accountable and almost banged to rights. Is that the phrase? Basically, he's laid the marker. He said, I always win something in my second year. The press and the media, pardon me, have jumped all over that and put a lot of pressure on him. So, the next game, I believe, is crucial. But so was the Brentford game, and they won that. So, there's no doubt in my mind I'll be honest, even if Tottenham lose that game, because they won the Brentford game, I think Ange will stay anyway. Even if they'd lost that game and lost the Carabao Cup game, I believe he would have stayed because I think the Tottenham board, I think Daniel Levy in particular, does rate him. And he knows they've got so much injuries out there now, a lot of underlying circumstances. I think he would be kept anyway. But now that they've won that Brentford game, it's obviously it can only help Ange. But the next game, I forget when it is, but it's this week sometime, I think, against Liverpool, Carabao Cup, to get to the final. They take a 1-0 lead to Anfield. That'll be interesting. There's a strong chance I will make another video on Ange after that game. But let me know your thoughts. I want to see and hear what other people have got to say about the situation. Thank you.